quick break. I just want to say thank you for all the people around the world, Jamaica, Germany, Asia, Europe, South America. Thank you for listening to Leap of Health. Thank you for the support. And remember, my book is out. You can find it on Barnes & Nobles and Amazon. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teachers. Thank you again for all the support. And now, back to our episode.
Hello, everyone. This is your host, Alex Valgood, and this is Leap of Health. And today we have Eugenie Kruger. She's a homeopath, and she's going to be talking about what it is. We're going to go through a lot of really good stuff that you guys been asking and sending me messages. And so this is going to be really, really excited. Thank you for being here. And not just that, she's on the other side of the world. I'm right here in Houston. She's in Australia. So I love to connect with people from all over the world. So thank you. I know time change, different time zones and all that gets a little crazy sometimes, but thank you for being here today.
It is such a pleasure. And my husband is obsessed with wanting to get to Texas. So we were actually going to go in March this year because there's a homeopathic conference there and things didn't quite work out. But one day we will get there. It's definitely high on the list.
We will definitely connect. If you come here, you got my house for sure.
Oh, sounds good. I'll take you up on that.
No, but thank you for being here today. And tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be a homeopath doctor.
Yeah, sure. So in Australia, we're not classified as doctors, just as homeopaths, but in many parts of the world, they are, and especially in India and also South Africa and Brazil, most of Europe, the homeopaths are actually medical doctors as well. But in Australia, we don't have to be licensed, which is really great. So it tends to be about a 3 or 4 year full-time program that you're doing, learning about the philosophy, anatomy and physiology, materia medica, lots of case taking, and then you get to qualify as a homeopath. Although I actually studied in New Zealand and then we moved to Perth, Australia about 6 years ago. But I've been interested in natural medicine for a long time. And one day I decided I want to study naturopathy. I was working in a health shop at the time. We were forced then to do this homeopathy paper. And I say forced because I didn't really know what homeopathy was and I didn't really have any interest in it. And I couldn't get out of the paper. So I reluctantly walked into their class. I'm somebody that doesn't like to be told what to do. So I walked into this homeopathy class and I'm like, oh, okay, lay it on me. An hour later, at the end of the class, I walked out straight to the registrar's office and I changed my pathway to become a homeopath instead of a naturopath. And the reason was that my husband and I were planning on starting a family in the next couple of years. And in this first class, I learned that homeopathy has no contraindications. So you can use it when you're pregnant, which is great news because most women, once they're pregnant, there's hardly anything that they can use. You can't use many of the pharmaceutical drugs. You can't even use many supplements because they're contraindicated. A lot of herbs are contraindicated. So if you're pregnant and you get sick, you're really lost as to what sort of tools you can use to heal yourself. So to learn that I can use homeopathy was wonderful. It's also completely safe for newborns. And that's also a great one because you can't stuff a bunch of supplements and pills and herbs and a lot of medications you can't give to newborn babies. So to find that there's a natural medicine with no contraindications that I could use when I'm pregnant and with a newborn, that was really the selling point for me. And then, since 2010, I've just been living and breathing homeopathy and just want to really spread that across the world for more people to use because unfortunately, there's not that many people that know about homeopathy. It is used by about 500 million people worldwide, mostly in South America, Europe, and India, where it's very popular. But certainly here in Australia and in the States as well, there's not that many people that actually know what homeopathy is. And I feel that it's such a wonderful tool. It's so empowering. I mean, the real epitome of true freedom is if you have your health. If you don't have your health, you don't have true freedom. So if
Yes.
we can empower people to treat themselves at home instead of being reliant on drugs, on pharmaceutical drugs, then that is true freedom. I also want to put a caveat in there. Homeopathy works beautifully alongside pharmaceutical medication. And exactly this time last year, I was in hospital with a ruptured appendix. Now, no amount of homeopathy was going to fix that. I had to go in for surgery.
Right.
And I had to get that removed. And it was a big job because I left it a bit too late because I was a bit stubborn. So they really had to clean me out properly. I had a little pipe out of my abdomen for several days after that, draining all the extra fluid. They had to clean my guts out. Sorry for the sensitive listeners. But I had my homeopathic remedies in the drawer right next to me to speed up my healing, to counteract the side effects of the drugs, to help with the constipation because of all the antibiotics that I had to be on. So there is a place for both. And if we, that's basically the whole message. So if you wanted to stop the podcast here, that will be fine. Because my message is that homeopathy is so safe, it's brilliant, and you can use it alongside pharmaceutical medication, and it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Nice. I love that. I think it's great. I think we're now like a lot of people, holistic practitioners and all these other practitioners that do different from Western medicine. It's not like we are against medicine. I think we're just on pro of doing things that are not going to damage our body. And with Western medicine, I mean, by all means, if you have a broken bone or appendicitis or something like that, needs to be taken care of like right away. Obviously it's, we have the technology, we have the doctors and the medicine that a lot of them are so amazing and that are gonna take care of you. But as you said, is really cool to know that you can also kind of like work both worlds together to get it, to get you into optimal health, which that's pretty much the goal, right? No matter what way you lean for more. So this is really awesome. So for anybody out there that's listening, can you explain us a little bit what homeopath is? Because I think a lot of us have heard the word, and we're like, I think it's familiar, but I don't know what it is. So tell us a little bit of what it is and what we'll be getting ourselves into.
Absolutely. And you're right. Most people don't. They think homeopathy is kind of like a blanket term for natural medicine, or some people think it's essential oils or herbs, but it's actually its own standalone form of natural medicine. They're these teeny tiny little pilules, very tiny. They're just little sucrose-based pilules, nice and sweet for the kiddies. You can get them in drops as well. So if what you're thinking is homeopathy is anything other than these sweet little pilules or drops, then that's not homeopathy. But homeo is the Greek word for similar, and pathy is the Greek word for suffering. So homeopathy basically means similar suffering. And it is based on the principle of like cures like. And that means that something which can cause a symptom in a healthy person can cure that same symptom in a sick person. And when I say that, I know people's eyes glaze over, because I know that first time I heard that, I was like, what on earth does that mean? But Alex, have you ever chopped an onion in the kitchen or anywhere else? Have you ever chopped an onion?
Yes.
Okay. So what happens when you chop an onion?
Usually I end up crying my eyeballs out.
Okay. Me too. So we have, if you were to come and see me for symptoms of hay fever, for example, and you said, Eugenie, one of the main things with this hay fever, I can deal with anything else, but one of the main symptoms is that my eyes just keep on streaming. It's so annoying. With all the pollen going around, my eyes are just really weeping. I will give you the remedy, Allium cepa. Do you want to guess what that remedy is made from?
Onion?
Yes. So the onion caused symptoms in that healthy person. So you were healthy, you cut an onion, caused your eyes to weep. So if you are sick and you come to me with weepy eyes, I give you onion to heal you. Now, have you ever been stung by a bee?
Yes.
Okay,
One
so
time
what did
when I
that
was
look
very
like?
little.
Yeah, what did that look like?
Just arm swollen, red, and I was very little, but I don't remember if I got fever, but I remember I was very hot and it was just like painful.
Okay, so about 7 years ago, because my kiddies were still quite little, they each had conjunctivitis that they got from their kindy, and I gave them a remedy, pulsatilla, and within a few hours, their conjunctivitis was gone. But then later that same night, I woke up. It was the middle of the night, and you know when you wake up and you just know something is wrong. And I went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and my eye was swollen shut. It looked like a big red golf ball, and my sclera was actually all sunken into my eyeball. It was so freaky. Now, I also had conjunctivitis, but my case was much more severe than my children's, so I needed a different remedy. And I obviously had not been stung by a bee, but it looked as if I had been stung by a bee because of all this redness and all this swelling. So I used the remedy Apis, a few doses of Apis, and a few hours later, my eye was back to normal. Now, I say that very carefully because homeopathy is probably the most sustainable and planet-friendly, environmentally friendly medicine on the planet. Now, because of how the method that we make the remedies, which is by dilution and succussion, which I explain a bit further in my YouTube video. It's about 30 minutes. It's an introduction to homeopathy. That part can get a little bit tricky if we only have the audio. But with a video, I've got a little animation that describes dilution and succussion. So we literally only need one bee to make remedies for the whole planet for the past, and homeopathy has been around for 200 years. So that same bee that sacrificed its life 200 years ago, we're still using that same medicine. So for anyone who's vegan or who's really sensitive to, just aware of what it is that we're putting in our bodies and the impact that we're having on the planet, homeopathy truly is the ultimate sustainable medicine, in my opinion.
That sounds really, woo. Like it's amazing. I mean, that's really awesome.
It's really cool. And I think most people, when they understand that, I think if you understand the like cures like principle. Well, here's another one for you. Have you ever had too much coffee?
You know what? I am a lightweight on coffee. So even if I just have like half a coffee, I'm like, my heart is like running. So I really never drink coffee, but I like the smell and the taste. So my husband likes a lot the coffee all the time. So here and there, I will, just have like a sip or so, and that'll do it. That's
okay.
like,
So you get the heart palpitations if you have.
Oh
okay.
yeah. Perfect.
Now, one of our top remedies for insomnia and anxiety with a racing heart is the remedy coffea, which is made from coffee. So if you can kind of get that principle of homeopathy, it's actually really easy because you can just think of what are the symptoms of the person in front of me, because homeopathy is very individualized medicine. So you look at the symptoms of the person in front of you, and might have a client come in and they say, Eugenie, I have such bad insomnia. My heart is just racing. I just can't sleep. I feel really tired but wired. And I might give them the remedy coffea, which is made from coffee. And, like cures like, those two just match each other and kind of cancels the symptoms out. And then you just back into yourself again. And it can work so fast. Like for many acute cases, it's the remedy Apis that we spoke about before is amazing for anaphylaxis. And I mean, anaphylaxis is really intense and full on, and you can give the remedy Apis, and within sort of 15 minutes or so, you can have all those symptoms just reduce right down. For fevers, I've had fevers that have gone down in under a minute. Really, really intense fevers. You give them aconite or belladonna and homeopathic potency, those fevers just goes right down. Teething babies, I have to say that's probably where homeopathy wins its most fans, is when you have a teething baby, because people don't want to give them a bunch of medications to just drug them up. A lot of moms feel it just doesn't feel right in them to be drugging their baby for something like teething, but they also don't want to see them in pain. And you give a baby homeopathic chamomilla, and there's zero placebo effect with a baby. You give them that remedy, and in under a minute, that screaming baby is calm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's is a seller for anyone.
That is great. So tell me something. I'm like very new to this, right? Even though I've taken some medicine of this, because I remember a couple of years ago, maybe like 4 years ago, I had these some sort of like flu symptoms. I rarely get the flu or anything in general. And I got these like weird flu that I was like, what the heck? And I went to the store and I saw this homeopathic thing that it was for flu. And I was like, well, I don't really want to take NyQuil or things like that, because they're really, when it comes to side effects in medicine, my body seems to be very perceptive
like
to
sensitive.
it. So I do get several side effects from just regular medicine, even from like a leave and things like that, right? So this flu, I had already taken vitamins and things like that, was just kind of like not leaving my body. So, went to a store and I was looking for something, maybe like a cough flu, or I don't know, whatever I could find. And I saw this box and it said homeopathic remedy, whatever. And it was little things like
Mm.
the ones that you show us. And I took it as were the directions in the box, and I felt better. And
Mm.
literally, it almost tasted like if I was just eating little baby candies or
Yes. I
whatever.
wonder if it was oscillococcinum that you had. It's like a little orange box, and Boron is the manufacturer.
Ah, I can't remember now, but I do remember because I was like, "What is this made of?" Right? And it was a very long name that I couldn't even
Oh, it's probably
read.
oscillococcinum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a very long thing. And I'm like, what is this? Well, it's just natural and it doesn't have like anything else. I'm like, I'll have faith in this little box. And it did.
Well, I
Like
can
it
tell you what it's
really,
made from.
please
That was
do.
actually made from a duck liver, because it's these ducks that migrate from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. So they actually are exposed to all these various viruses. And that oscillococcinum, which is made by a company called Boron, which is actually a French company, but they are
It
in
is.
America as well.
It is French.
And
That is correct.
yes, Boron, yeah, Boron. Yes, and they are the largest homeopathic manufacturer in the world. And that homeopathic remedy, actually, oscillococcinum is the brand name, but the remedy is actually called Annas barbariae, and
Mm.
that actually outsells pharmaceutical medication in Europe. So that homeopathic remedy, because it's so successful in treating flu.
It was so amazing. And it was so funny that you mentioned that it's French because I read the whole box because I was like, what, this is natural, but let me read what it says. And it written on the ingredients, it wouldn't say anything else, but just this long word. And I'm like, I don't know what it means. I think I Googled it at the time and it said like it was like something like natural. Like I knew it was not gonna like kill me or do anything to me. So I was like, why might as well I try, right? I prefer to try this than to try NyQuil because I know what NyQuil is gonna do to me. So, and I remember it had some French like section. That's pretty amazing. I'm
Well,
impressed.
I'll tell you something. If you think that's amazing, I'm going to tell you something else that'll blow your mind. You can actually use the oscillococcinum or the anise barb as a prophylactic. So that means when your autumn starts, you can start taking a dose of that every single month, all throughout autumn and winter. And you guys are in your winter at the moment. We're just in the peak of
Winter.
summer over here.
I
But
see.
you can take a dose once a month. And if there's a lot of flu going around, say, for example, you're a teacher in a school and all the kids have got snotty noses everywhere, or you've been to a party and then the next day that person calls you to say they've just been really sick, then take a dose of oscillococcinum prophylactically. So just take one dose and that will stop you getting the flu. So for people who might have had reactions to flu needles or things like that in the past and are looking for a safer alternative, that might be an option for them as well.
That's amazing. That's really good, especially for people that get like I know at work, we always have someone that has the flu. Like it's crazy. And
Mm.
simple alternatives like that, I really like that. And no side effects. What else to ask, right? And tell me something. Are all these little medicines from homeopathic, are they just geared towards the symptom or because we're
That's a
we've we've been
really
talking
good
about
question.
yeah.
Really good question. So, how the short answer is we don't know how homeopathy works. We just know that it does because we can observe the effect that it has on the body. And a
Oh,
lot of scientists, that's where a lot of homeopathy gets poo-pooed because it's like, well, you can't prove how it works. Now, the funny thing is we've got this great place here in Perth called SciTech, and I used to homeschool my kids and I'll take them all there all the time. And they had this, sorry, I'm doing a little loop. I'll get back to your question. They had this display on gravity there. And it really struck me. And it says, gravity, this and this and this. Although scientists still does not understand how gravity works. And I was like, oh my gosh, we don't know how gravity works, but that doesn't mean we're all floating off the surface of the earth just because we don't understand how it works.
right.
Understanding how something works not understanding how it works doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means that we don't have the capacity yet. There was also this really interesting article in the British Journal of Medicine from quite a few years ago. And it said in there that for the first 100 years that paracetamol was used, the mechanism of action was not understood. So for 100 years, people were using paracetamol, not actually knowing how it was working biologically in the body. So it's a little bit unfair that homeopathy gets this hard time for not being able to explain exactly how it works, because it does work. We observe the effects. We observe the effects in animals where there's no placebo. We observe the effect, if you're ready for this, just hold on to your chair, in plants. We can use homeopathy for plants. We
Wow.
can also use it in babies. So that whole placebo rule is completely out the window. So you were asking about whether it's just treating the symptoms. So the method of whereby we think homeopathy works is that it's actually stimulating your body's vital force to heal yourself. So it's not the remedy that's healing you. It's the remedy that's kind of reminding your vital force, your innate healing ability, just kind of reminding it, hey, this is what you need to do to heal yourself. And your body is doing the healing, if that makes sense. Does that
Yeah.
answer the question?
It does. It does. And how did this whole thing started? Where did it started?
Yes. Oh, that's a great question. Such a great question. So in the late 1700s, there was this German doctor, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, and there was a lot of bloodletting at the time, where they would cut you to bleed. And actually, I think it was George Washington that actually died from bloodletting because he had a sore throat, and they cut him and then let all this blood out because they believed that you would get sick because of the blood becoming kind of stagnant in your body. The first cut didn't help. And so they did a second cut, and then the next day he died. That's from a sore throat. So you have to kind of understand what the medical profession was like at that time. And they would give people a lot of mercury to make them vomit. So they believe that you get sick because humors or fluids in your body become stagnant. So they would do things to kind of try to move the humors. They would try to make you have diarrhea or vomit or spill your blood. Now, Samuel Hahnemann did not feel that this was right. He left the medical profession, and because he could speak 9 languages, he became a translator. And in one of the textbooks that he translated, it was on herbal medicine. And the author said, this Peruvian bark, or it's also known as cinchona, can cure malaria because it is bitter or astringent. And Hahnemann was like, well, that doesn't quite make sense because there are loads of other herbs that are bitter and astringent, but they don't have an effect on malaria. So why would cinchona, that's also bitter and astringent, specifically have an effect on malaria? And just a bit of fun fact is now 200 years later, cinchona is still used in pharmaceutical medication, the extract of that in malarial drugs. So what Samuel did, being a true scientist and chemist, he took little bits of cinchona every single day until his body started to produce fevers and cold and hot sweats, and he was just so sick with all the symptoms of what you would see in somebody who has malaria. So that was a real aha moment for him, and he realized that cinchona can cure malaria because it can cause the symptoms of malaria in a healthy person. So that is how homeopathy was born. And then he basically just started testing out new medicines because his goal always was, how can we make medicine effective and safe in the tiniest amount possible? And he truly believed that all the answers, everything that we need to heal ourselves is in nature. The answers are already there. We just need to find a way that we can very gently, with the tiniest amount possible, use that to stimulate our body to heal itself.
Wow. It's crazy to think about this whole thing. I really never thought of anything like that.
And do you know what's the saddest part is up until the 1950s, America had dozens of homeopathic hospitals. And also in Washington, D.C., there is this massive monument of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. And up to this day, he is the only physician in America to have a statue that's been made of him. So he's the only physician. And many of your medical schools in the States are named after Hahnemann or used to be homeopathic hospitals that then, as the American Medical Association ended up kind of squashing homeopathy, these homeopathic hospitals ended up becoming mainstream institutions. And a lot of them are still named after Hahnemann or have some sort of hint towards that. But the doctors that are studying there just have no idea. So actually, there's a American guy, Dana Ullman, Danaullman, and he's written extensively about the history of homeopathy. And I don't know if you know this, but Gandhi used to use homeopathy. He was a huge advocate for homeopathy. Mother Teresa was a huge advocate. Several American presidents used homeopathy, and it's actually written in your constitution. And there's some very scary things happening in the States at the moment where the TGA, oh, not the TGA, sorry, that's over here. You guys have got the
FDA.
What's your Yes, the FDA. Sorry. Our TGA in Australia is causing havoc by itself, don't worry. But your FDA is trying to reclassify homeopathics as new medicines, which is what they're actually doing is illegal because homeopathy is written into your constitution. What the FDA is trying to do is not actually legal. But it's amazing. Isn't it incredible that not more people know about this? This medicine is actually a Western medicine. It's been around for 200 years. It used to be all these homeopathic hospitals in America. It's got a really rich, incredible history in America, and that it's been so squashed. But, homeopathic medicines are some of the cheapest medicines on the planet. It's so cheap. And and because you can't patent any of the ingredients, the pharmaceutical companies that are, worth trillions of dollars are working so hard to squash it at every stage that they can. And so many people are on the FDA, and a lot of these governing bodies are bought out to be able to put measures in place to stop homeopathy. So I am really doing my best to try and educate as many people as I can about homeopathy because it is so safe and effective. And yeah. There you go. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. I just get a little bit passionate about this project.
I am very, very passionate about just like trying to bring good information to everyone, and especially when it's of this type, right? And I mean, it doesn't surprise me that nobody really knows about homeopathy here, even though we have tons of facilities where that was practiced. I mean, our biggest industry in the States is the pharmaceutical medicine. So it's very unfortunate that a lot of people just in the world are driven by money and not by what's the best for the people. And that's very unfortunate. But I'm so happy that there's people out there like you trying to spread the word and just in general, I think just knowledge is, it's power. And the more we know and the more we learn about things, and people definitely, nobody wants side effects. Nobody wants to be addicted to ibuprofen, like everybody ill it's in the world. So this is really, really cool. So for everybody that is listening, there's always hope. And I mean, homeopathy doesn't have side effects. And I think that's like a big, big deal.
It really is.
Yeah, for sure. What are some of the things that you usually go through with your clients or patients? What are some of the things that you're always like try to work with them because they get the most sick or something?
Oh, you've asked a big question now. How much time have you got? So just for anyone with a visual, I've got a t-shirt here that says, yes, I have a remedy for that, because there is literally nothing physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual that homeopathy cannot help with. So I'll just randomly and intuitively throw out a few things for you. And I'm going to trust that there's a listener listening right now that needs to hear this. So we've got a wonderful remedy called Ignatia, Ignatia, which is wonderful for grief, loss, and disappointment. So this is something that you would use if your pet has passed away, if a family member has passed away, if you had really hoped to get this job and you didn't get it and you're really disappointed. Really great one if you are weaning your baby and the grief and sadness of the mum and the baby of that loss of the bond, give the remedy to both of them. Really good one if you have to go to work and leave your dog at home, put some Ignatia in their water so they don't miss you so much. If your child's going to daycare for the first time, give them Ignatia, wonderful remedy. One of our top ones, also belladonna and aconite for fevers. Absolutely incredible. Yes. Cantharis, UTIs, so urinary tract infections in women, seems to be a really big thing, and even in little children. And often it's the sodium lauryl sulfate in the bubble baths and things like that that can actually irritate the urinary tract for the little children. That's often why they get it. But for women or men who have urinary tract infections, there is a remedy called Cantharis, Cantharis. And it's really good for that intense burning pain of a UTI, but burning pain on all levels. So it's actually also a wonderful remedy for burns of all sorts, whether it's a chemical burn, from boiling water, from sunburn, and you've got blistering afterwards. A lot of us here in Perth at the moment are having that because I think it's about 40 degrees Celsius here today. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. It's a lot.
Very hot.
So Cantharis is really good for blistering and burning pains of all sorts. Arsenicum is one of our other big ones for any sort of digestive upsets, food poisoning, but also one of our huge anxiety remedies. It was one of our top remedies during this recent health events that has happened across the planet, because this remedy also has, on a mental emotional level, a lot of anxiety about health and
Mm-hmm.
cleanliness. And so this remedy was so good to help people with symptoms of this prominent illness that we've had recently,
Mm-hmm.
but also just any sort of digestive upsets. Me and my husband and kids had really bad food poisoning from an Indian curry a few years ago, and we were all in the bathroom vomiting our guts out, and a few doses of arsenicum, and we were all back to normal. So incredible remedy. And of course, arnica. No interview would be done without arnica. So arnica is a wonderful remedy. It's made from the Arnica montana daisy, great for bruising, but also a huge remedy for the cardiovascular system. So with a lot of people that have been experiencing blood clots lately for various reasons, the remedy
Mm-hmm.
arnica is actually really great for that. But, if you have any bumps or bruises or even achy muscles after exercising, it's got that real bruised feeling. So even if you've been on an airplane and you're in cattle class and you're all squished up and you come out of the airplane and you're really feeling bruised with, some more people traveling these days,
Right.
arnica is really great for that, and it really helps with jet lag. One of our top remedies for head injuries as well. Is there any particular health complaint that you feel that you would like me to mention about, or anything that you're worried about?
Um, Not about me, but I do have a friend that she suffers of like ovarian cyst and pains and all that.
Mm.
Will something like this help for her?
Absolutely. So it's funny. We used to have this receptionist, and she was always saying, Eugenie, have you got a remedy for? Eugenie, have you got a remedy for? And after 2 years of working there, she said, Eugenie, I know you have a remedy for it. Just tell me what's the remedy for this and that. So, spoiler alert, we have a remedy for everything, whether it's depression, anxiety, OCD, pandas, PANS, autism, anything you can possibly think of. But yes, absolutely anything to balance the endocrine system. We have kick-ass remedies for. So one of them, you said the ovarian cyst, there's a remedy called Ophorinum, which is actually made from healthy ovarian tissue, which is a great remedy that we can use for that. We've also got sepia, which is a wonderful hormonal balancing remedy in all sorts of levels. So we often use it postpartum for baby blues, if women have like postnatal depression. I always say that remedy turns me from a mean mummy into a nice mummy. So if I'm feeling a bit PMSy or a bit hormonal, I'll take some sepia and just like calms everything down a little bit. We've also got remedies that are made from hormones, so estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. So often for something like cysts, we can actually use these hormonal remedies to balance the hormonal system. We have incredible results with any sort of period problems, whether it's heavy periods, painful periods, irregular periods, lots of
Mhm.
spotting before or after, ovulation pains, anything that you can think of. We've got remedies that can help that. And if I, like some women that I see in my clinic, they might be in their 40s and they tell me that they've suffered with painful, heavy periods since they were teenagers. And I'm like, that's like every month for 20, 30 years. You've been suffering this. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, there's something that we can do to help you. You don't have to suffer.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. And the best thing for this, and honestly, I don't know why I thought about my friend, but it just like came to me because I feel like a lot of medicine that like if you go to the doctor and they give you some sort of medicine for like all these, whether it's for your period or if you have any cyst or whatever, I think all of those sometimes end affecting you a little bit more than helping you. So it's great to know that there's this alternative medicine that's not going to give you side effects. So
Mm.
this is, I think it's, to me, it's just a win-win on this, right? Because let's say, for example, you know, for whatever reason, it didn't help you. At least it did not give you side effects or change whatever chemistry in your blood or whatever it is that another medicine would have done, in that case. So it's great, especially because a lot of women out there suffers of some sort of hormonal something, or every month, or cyst or whatever, right? So I think this is a really great thing for everybody that obviously have ovaries out there. But yeah, but as we were talking about, it's not just for women, it's for everybody that has anything and everything. And I know something that a lot of people suffers all the time, whether it's cold or not, is sore throat.
Mm.
What do you have for that?
Aconite is often sorry, I keep like backtracking and then coming to your answer, but it's just to kind of give you the bigger picture. So we
Yes,
have
yes.
a minimum 4,000 different homeopathic remedies, each with their own different remedy picture. And when you were talking about if somebody has to be on pharmaceutical medication, say for example they've had their thyroid removed, so they have to be on thyroxine for the rest of their life. We actually have remedies made from pretty much every drug on the planet. So what you can do in a case like that is take your thyroxine every day, but then take the remedy that's made from that. So the energetic, because it's actually the energetic signature or the energetic imprint of the substance that you end up taking. It's nothing of the physical dose. So you take the drug and then you take the energetic signature of the drug, and that will actually counter the side effects of the drug.
That's
So
great.
that's one option as well. So you were saying for sore throats, the reason I went there is just to let you know, we've got so many different homeopathic remedies, and it will be a different remedy depending on how the symptoms present themselves. So if you look in our homeopathic repertory, which is where we look up symptoms and it will tell us the associated remedies, there will be about 200 or 300 different remedies for sore throats, but we do have some of the main ones. Now, aconite is a remedy that is for really good sudden onset of any strong, acute, intense symptoms. So whether it's a sore throat or an ear pain or whatever, aconite, or flu symptoms, aconite's often the first remedy you go to, but specifically if you have been exposed to cold air. So say, for example, you were out with friends, it was a nice balmy night, and then suddenly a cold wind picks up, and the next morning you woke up with a sore throat, that is an aconite symptom. If you take 2 pills every 15 minutes for 4 doses, I promise you within an hour or two, that sore throat will be gone. But so homeopathy calls us to tune into our bodies to know where the symptom is. So not more than just a sore throat. It's teaching you to get in touch and get in tune with your body to find out where is the sore throat. What is the quality of the sore throat? What makes it better? What makes it worse? So it'll be a different remedy. If the sore throat is on the left-hand side, that will be lachesis, which is a remedy made from the bushmaster snake. If it's on the right-hand side, it'll be lycopodium, which is a remedy made from the wolf club moss. Now, if it's a really burning sore throat, it might be apis, which is the remedy made from the honeybee. If your sore throat is better from drinking warm drinks, it will be a different remedy to if your sore throat is better from drinking cold drinks. And if you say, my sore throat is much better if I lie down, that's a different remedy. And if you say your sore throat is much better if you're out in the cold air, that's a different remedy. If you say, my throat is so sore, but if I wrap it up with a warm scarf, then it's much better, that gives me a clue as to a different remedy. So
This is incredible.
so it really homeopathy teaches you to tune into your body in a way you never have before, because it's not just a sore throat. It's like, well, where is it? What is your body telling you? What does your body want you to do to make it feel better? Have you got any mental, emotional symptoms? Does the sore throat make you feel anxious or hysterical, or it doesn't really bother you, or it makes you just want to cuddle somebody and have a little hug, then you feel better? That will be a different remedy to somebody who just wants to be left alone. So the mental, emotional symptoms that accompany the physical symptoms actually really tells you which remedy you end up needing to give the person. And then if you're a home prescriber and it's all too much, we have combination remedies. So I've actually created a sore throat combination remedy, and I've just chucked all the main homeopathic remedies into one bottle, and you can just start off with that, Alex.
Wow. This is great. And I just really like, as we were talking earlier, I really never dive into these part of alternative healing, which is homeopathic. And it's just great. It is really like really blowing my mind away, because it really reminds me a lot of things and teachings from Ayurveda and Oriental medicine, because and even my grandma, even like things that my family does too, because those are some of the things that the mom or grandma will ask, right? Especially if we had sore throat. It was like, oh, um, is it because you drank cold things, or is it because you drank hot stuff? Or they will just also like be in tune to what's the weather like. So if it was a really hot day, they already knew that you will come to I'll come to mom or grandma, and I'll be like, oh my God, I felt like a sore throat. My mom will know automatically, like, you drank all this ice with the drink. So they knew the sore throat's coming from the ice drink, because it's a hot day and I just shocked my body. Or the other way around. If it was cold outside and I'm just going outside with like a tank top, see, you go again, you didn't put your jackets and things like that. So it's kind of cool to know that this homeopathic medicine is not just like, okay, what are you feeling, here it is, your remedy. It's more than that. It's really getting in tune with what the body's feeling, with what's happening around you. So it's just pretty neat. It's really cool to know that. Like, that was amazing.
I actually love being interviewed by people that don't know anything about homeopathy. I was recently interviewed by somebody else who, it's funny because when she booked me, I could tell that she didn't know what homeopathy was. And she just thought it was like a blanket natural medicine. And I loved seeing exactly what I'm seeing with you at the moment. You're like, oh, because I feel that homeopathy on a deep level resonates with most of us. Don't you
Mm-hmm.
feel that? Like that's what I felt in that's what I was like, that first lesson when I learned about homeopathy, because everything in me resonated with, this feels like the truth. You know, when you hear the truth and your cells in your body and your energy goes, yep, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That feels right. That's
Yeah.
what I feel with homeopathy. It just feels right. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm so grateful to be on your show today, to be able to share that with some more people so that
Mm-hmm.
more people can hear this and hopefully have the same feeling.
Yeah.
It almost seems too good to be true that we have a natural medicine that's safe and effective, no side effects, and so cheap that it's almost free. We literally just have to charge you money for it because we need time to pay our staff and for the bottles and the labels. But if it wasn't for that, it would be almost free.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
almost seems too good to be true, but also on a deep level, it feels right because it's like, yes, that's what health should be like. Health shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be expensive. It shouldn't be exclusive. It should be something that all of us have access to easily
Mm-hmm.
without having to deal with a bunch of side effects after.
Yeah.
So, do
That
you
we
feel
have
that as
to.
well?
Yes, definitely. Like, I am totally with you. Like, one of the things that, for me, as I was mentioning earlier, I get all the side effects from things, just from, even from, I'll leave ibuprofen, whatever it is, just pain medicine from the counter. And it's just crazy to me that, you know, there's this medicine out there that has no side effects, that is cheaper, safer, and everything
Mm.
else, and a lot of people doesn't know about it, right? Thankfully, me, I have a
No.
bunch of women around me, and obviously, I've been in touch with other practitioners and acupuncturists and herbalists and all that. So you learn to take different things, but
Mm.
homeopathic, it's so easy.
So easy and it's sweet. It's not, I mean, I love herbs. I love supplements. I use that for myself as well. But when you've got, especially like a child with autism, which I treat a lot, you cannot get a lot of these supplements and yucky herbs into the kids. They don't want anything to do with it. But you give them a tiny, sweet little pill. It's just sucrose and the medication is on there. And all they think is they're getting a lolly. Like I have some of my little clients, they call them fairy sprinkles. They call them, all sorts of cute little names of these little pills. And they love them. And even little babies under 6 months old, you come to give them their teething remedy. And the second you bring that bottle close to their face, they open their little mouths. They love it. And
Yeah.
the amount of sugar is so tiny. I mean, it's a tiny little granules. So it's not like you're stuffing up their blood sugar levels or anything like that. But also
Right.
because it's sugar, it does get absorbed into the bloodstream really quickly. You just pop it onto the tongue. You can put it in their water. You do take the remedies away from food. So if you have just eaten something, just have some water to clean your palate, then have your remedy, and then just wait about 5 minutes, and then you can eat again. I know there's varying information. Some homeopaths will say don't eat for half an hour before and after, but with 10 years of experience behind me, I found that really it doesn't make a difference. You can actually just don't have it with your food, although I say that, but some people will actually put the remedies in their animals' food and it still works. But you do have to
Mm-hmm.
be a little bit careful with how you administer the remedies.
That's awesome.
I also just want to say for you, Alex, if you are, because you mentioned about being sensitive to the coffee and then also the medications. So there is this remedy called Nux vomica, Nuxvomica. It's a really good remedy for side effects of medication. So it's just kind of like a blanket. If you're somebody who just generally is very sensitive to medication, but say something happens and you have to take a drug and you know that you're going to react to it, you can just take the Nux vomica alongside that medication to help counteract the side effects.
Yeah.
It's also a really good remedy for overindulgence of all sorts. So say you've had for anyone who's just had a really great New Year's, it's a little bit late for you now, but if you've had a really bad hangover, Nux vomica is awesome for that. Or if you've gone out for a really rich meal and you're feeling just really bloated and disgusting afterwards, Nux vomica is great. If you're somebody who's very sensitive to gluten and you've gone out to eat something that was accidentally gluten in there, you're feeling really bloated and gross, have some Nux vomica after that. But for somebody like you, like having Nux vomica in your handbag or just wherever you're going, and if you are exposed to something you're feeling your body's a little bit off, Nux vomica can be really good for that.
What is that made of?
The poison nut. So actually some of our most powerful homeopathic remedies like belladonna is actually as the active ingredient is atropine, and that the actually belladonna berry is poisonous, but because it's a homeopathic potency, it's got none of the physical substance in it. So it becomes a very powerful, gentle medicine. Aconite is, if you watch any sort of murder mystery, it's one of the top drugs that's used to poison people. And it was one of the most favored poisons of choice, a couple of hundred years ago, the Aconitum napalm flower. It's also called monkshood, this beautiful blue flower. And they would make a tincture from that and poison people and kill them. Arsenicum is made from arsenic. Nux vomica is made from the poison nut. So some of our most powerful homeopathic remedies are made from poisons, but because it's got none of the physical substance in it, it's only the energetic signature of that. And we do that by means of dilution and succussion, which you'll have to watch that little animation. I could explain it to you, but it's just not as.
I will
I'm a
put
very
that
visual
also
person.
on the show
Yeah.
notes so everybody can watch that and see
Yeah.
what's going
It's
on.
only that
It's
little
fascinating.
animation's only a minute, so it's quick to watch. You'll watch it and then you'll go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
No, I love that. This is great. And just a random question now. Who are these companies that are grabbing all these random things to make this homeopathic medicine? Like, is there a company that's doing this, or like, and also, had someone knows to just look in this random medicine or poison flower or whatever it is?
You're giving me goosebumps with your questions. That is I've never had anyone ask me that before. That's such a good question. Okay, so as for where they grow them, so I actually had the one of the head people at Braun on my podcast, and I've had a few other homeopathic pharmacists on my podcast, Homeopathy Hangout, and he explained that they actually get most of these plants wild. So they will go into where these plants naturally grow wild in the cleanest environments that they possibly can, and go and collect the substances from there. There is actually it's called HPUS, it's the Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of the United States. And that actually tells us exactly how the medicines need to be prepared. So when the flowering herb needs to be gathered, under what circumstances, how it needs to be extracted, all that. But of course, as I said before, once we've created a homeopathic remedy, we have that forever. So we can just kind of make copies of that. So you have the original substance. You only actually need to, like I said, have that 1B, and you can, because of dilution and succussion, can use that 1B for 200 years to make remedies for the whole planet.
It's amazing.
I know that's the part that kind of boggles people's minds. You'll just have to watch my intro video. But your second question was, how do they know to make a remedy from that substance? Now, we have what's called provings. Now, in pharmaceutical medication, they make a random drug, They give it to a bunch of sick people and then they, see what happens to them. In
Right.
homeopathy, we see something in nature and we go, oh, that's really interesting. So, for example, what substance can I use? Oh, so in my third year of study, we were part of the proving for the remedy Pahudakawa. Now, Pahudakawa in New Zealand is this beautiful tree. It's also called the Christmas tree because it flowers over Christmas time with these beautiful red flowers. It's absolutely gorgeous. It only flowers for about a month over Christmas, and it's gorgeous. There's never been a remedy made from this plant. So what the homeopathic pharmacists in New Zealand did is they made a homeopathic remedy from this. We didn't know what it was, and our lecturer didn't know what it was. So we were given this substance, not knowing what it was, over a course of about a week. And then we had to record the symptoms that we noticed in our bodies over this week. So most of us experienced menstrual symptoms. So women who in the proving group who used to have heavy periods suddenly didn't have heavy periods anymore. They were great. Women who had super light periods suddenly had really heavy periods. So when we did the analysis of all the symptoms that all of us people experienced after taking this remedy, at the end of 6 months, so you actually do it over a period of time, you collect the initial data, then you do a follow-up in like 3 months or so, and then often after 6 months, because the remedy can often have a profound effect on you for quite a while afterwards. So you have the head person who was our lecturer, and she touched base with us every few months or so to see what other symptoms we had experienced. And then at the end of this, we were told what the remedy was. And then it was so interesting that we had so many menstrual symptoms come out of this proving, and that this Pahudakawa plant has these red flowers. So you can often see the signature in nature of, and kind of relate from that what the remedy would be useful for. So to come back to your question, somebody will see a plant or a substance or something in nature and think, I wonder what effect that would have on a healthy human. See what
Right.
symptoms that elicit, and then use that. I just had something pop in my mind. So one of the homeopaths was actually lucky enough to get a piece of a Tyrannosaurus Rex bone from a museum, and there was a remedy made from that. And we often use this remedy, T-Rex, for children with behavioral disorders where lots of screaming and aggressive behavior is involved.
Yeah.
So somebody saw this T-Rex bone and was like, okay, let's see what this remedy brings out. So yeah, such a great question. But all our remedies start off, not all our remedies, most of our remedies start off with approving. We see what symptoms they produce, and then we know what they can use to cure people.
That's actually genius because here we are, pharmaceutical industry is making this medicine for people that are already sick, right? We're trying to come up with all these like remedies, vaccines, or whatever it is that we're trying to help or cure or whatever, right? But it's already in sick individuals, some people that's already have the virus or bacteria, or they have certain diseases already advanced, and so now we put these people on trials, right? Because that's how they call them, and it's kind of crazy to call them trials anyways, now that I think about it. But anyways, you put them on trials, and you don't know, you give them half of them, as you know, for medicine you put half of them on placebo effect and the other half on whatever medicine it is that they're trying to do. Not only they are doing it on sick people, but they don't know that they also will make them sicker because of all these side effects, including mental health as physical health. Because as everybody that has ever watched TV once in their lives and see a commercial, and then disclaimer, it says that blah 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 blah, you will have all these symptoms and dead.
And that's actually
it's
interesting because I think
crazy.
in the States they're allowed to advertise pharmaceutical drugs on TV, right? Because they're not allowed to over here. But I heard the other day that they are allowed to in the States to advertise drugs on TV.
Yeah, so and it's funny because now like people makes fun of it all the time, like so when you're watching TV and suddenly these like whatever medicine will come out and be like, oh, this is a new medicine for whatever it is that they're trying to market, and then at the end of the commercial, these beautiful pictures and whatever, right? They will have this disclaimer in a very fast speed voice, it could cause dizziness, suicidal effects, bleeding, um, like there's like 30 side effects, and at the end it could cause death. But this is in a
Mm.
very like high speed talking talking, speed.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what? And you just hear at the end dead. So we're so used to these dumb commercials that everybody, here and there we laugh about it. Like, why is this people are buying these? Why are we buying your product
Mm.
when it's gonna cost me 30 side effects and also it can cost me that? So it's so
Mm.
crazy. And going back to what you were saying is that it's so brilliant to actually test things that are in nature and to
Mm.
see what side effects cause unhealthy individuals and how we can use that to help individuals that are
Mm.
sick or having certain symptoms or disease or whatever. So this is really cool.
Well, pharmaceutical drugs and medical errors are about this, I think, second or third. It's one of the four leading causes of death, along with heart disease and cancer. So, medical errors and pharmaceutical drugs are one of the top causes of death in the world. Homeopathy has never killed anyone in 200 years, 230 years that it's been going. So, I think that kind of speaks for itself as well.
Definitely.
Mm.
Totally. So
Mm.
everybody listening out there, if you've been taking all these medicine that are killing your liver, your kidneys, and everything else inside you, this is a good time to stop and find a homeopathic doctor to just help you out. Nothing to lose, right? No side effects. If anything, you don't like it, whatever, you go back to those medicines that will be still killing your kidneys and liver and your guts and everything else. So this is amazing. Like there's so much hope out there for a lot of people that are suffering from a variety of things, right? So this is
Mm.
super cool.
I'm so glad you think so. And the best of all is you can prescribe it at home yourself. So I highly recommend everyone has a homeopathic first aid kit. We sell some on our website. We do ship to the States as well, but it's available in America as well. You've got Baron is probably one of the main ones. You've got Helios Pharmacy there in the UK, but some of their kits are available in the States. I think you've got Hahnemann Labs there. I'm not 100% sure on all of the people, but there are lots of homeopaths in the States. There
Mhm.
are lots of places that you can get remedies from. But if you're intrigued with homeopathy, just get a little homeopathic beginner's book. I really like Dana Ullman's book, Everybody's Guide to Homeopathic Medicines. You can get it for pretty cheap on Amazon. That's a great book to start off with. And then just getting like a basic homeopathic kit, even if it's 10 or 20 remedies or whatever, it's so cheap. It's not going to set you back. And then when those sore throats and ear infections or fevers come up, give the remedies a try and see what you think, and try them on your pets and try them on your kids and try them on your auntie and your grandma and just see what results you get. And if the first remedy doesn't work, try the next one. If that doesn't work, try the next one. Like,
Yeah.
you can't cause any harm. It's like any skill. It's going to take you a while to kind of get the hang of it.
Mhm.
So don't give up if you don't get it right the first time. You need to give it a good go. And people will go back to the same doctor over and over and over again and never get a result. But often with natural medicine, they only give us one try and then they go, oh, well, that didn't work. Don't give up
Mhm.
after one try. It's a skill. You need to practice it a little bit and give it a go. And you might, very likely, you will get excellent results the very first time. It depends what it is that you're treating. But give it a go and don't give up. Just keep going.
No, definitely. I think, it's just great for everybody that wants to try and wants to learn more about it. Definitely get those books, get those first kid aids, you purchase from you. I'll definitely put that link on the show notes too. I think it's important for people to try these things. We all buy Tylenol and I leave every other week, so why not to try something that's really not going to mess up our inside? So
Mm.
that's just amazing. But anyways, this all has been amazing. Thank you for all the information. Do you do consults online? I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah, I don't anymore because I've closed my books about 2 years ago because I'm so busy. But I have 4 homeopaths on my team. So, and the team keeps growing. We've just added another person. So if anybody wanted to book with one of the homeopaths on my team, they can just go to eugeniekruger.com and book in there. They all do online consults. Otherwise, if you go to the National Center for Homeopathy in America, I think they've got a list of homeopaths on there. So if you wanted to physically see somebody in the States, that's an option as well. Every country in the world has their own body registering body of homeopaths. So if you are in a different country and you're not sure who would be your closest, that's a good one. On my podcast, Homeopathy Hangout, I've got 150 episodes with homeopaths from around the world. So you can always listen to that, see if you resonate with somebody, because I think that's very important that
Mhm.
whoever the practitioner is that you see, that you have good resonance with them. So see who it is that you resonate with. There's also loads of Facebook groups that you can go on. Mary's Homeopathy Study Group is a good one. There's over 40,000 people in that Facebook group. And you can, if you've got any acute questions, earache or whatever, just post in that group and somebody will advise you on which remedies you can use.
That's amazing. No, thank you for all that information.
It's a pleasure.
Definitely get out there and connect. And if anyone wants to connect with you on social media, where can they find you?
Just Eugenie Kruger. That's the advantage of having an unusual name. I'm pretty easy to find. So I have just been, what's it called? Not banned. I've been like blocked on YouTube because I posted 2 videos which they didn't like. So suspended. That's the one. So there's no more new videos going on YouTube, but you can find them on Rumble. But if you type in Eugenie Kruger on Instagram or Facebook or Rumble or YouTube or the internet, it'll come up.
Awesome. Yeah, and I will put all of your information on the show notes. I will also put your YouTube channel too, so they can watch all your videos and episodes and all that. Because I think you have a lot of really good information there, and I believe it will help someone out there. So thank you for being here today. If anyone wants to know any more about anything else about my show, you can find me at alexbalga.com. You can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. Remember also, my book is out, so you can buy it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teacher. If you have a question or you need a promo code, do DM me and I will send it to you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you, June, for all these amazing information. Literally, I'm about to go out there and find my book and try all these remedies. I think it's just amazing. So thank you for all the information. And thank you everyone for tuning in today and be open to new and amazing alternatives forms of healing yourself. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Eugene. And everybody,
Pleasure.
have a blessed day.